I want to have this conversation real quick though, because I do have to go live on YouTube on my other channel, so I got to set that up. But I want to have this conversation because the autopsy results for Nolan Wells is in. All right. Now, so doing a recap, Nolan Wells was an 18-year-old athlete who went on I guess, a boat trip with his Caucasian friends, three of his Caucasian friends, at least from what we've seen in the picture. He turns up missing. The body comes back. The friends are interrogated, and the friends say, well, Nolan wanted to be left on the island by himself. He wanted to stay there. We went back, and we don't know what happened to Nolan. And a lot of people question that story initially. A lot of people are like, that doesn't really make that much sense. And people immediately suspected foul play. Then more information started coming out. The parents started doing interviews saying that was uncharacteristic of Nolan to just abandon the group of people he was with, and it didn't even make any sense whatsoever. Excuse me. For Nolan to do that. It made no sense for Nolan to do that, right? And then more information started coming out. Apparently his Caucasian friends had his cell phone, and they were like deleting certain information off his cell phone, like text messages and instant messages from social media and things of the sort. So a lot of people started to suspect that, okay, well, y'all clearly had something to do with it because this isn't adding up. Apparently, too, there was a situation where the boat was being cleaned at like the middle of the night. I'm talking about like 1 o'clock to like 3 o'clock in the morning, around them hours, very odd hours to be cleaning the boat. So a lot of people started suspecting, okay, y'all trying to hide evidence, y'all trying to clean up after y'allself. All of the friends were in on it, and the community as a whole was all like, nah, this ain't adding up. This don't make any sense. And the state of Mississippi did an autopsy. The state didn't get back with the autopsy. Benjamin Crump became the attorney for the family that did their own independent autopsy. And then there was a waiting period between which autopsy was going to be released first, because we have not received the state's autopsy yet. The independent autopsy was waiting on the state because they were trying to see if the state was going to match the independent autopsy. Okay. Now, mind you, the state did theirs first. The second autopsy just got released, and what they said was pretty much the information is inconclusive. They cannot really conclude anything at this point. They said Benjamin Crump got up there and he broke down the autopsy, pretty much saying that at the time that they received the body had already been examined by the state. By the time they received the body, there was it's already too decayed for them to make any conclusive term of death. Okay. So yeah, the results are in. It's already been because I think they got the body like a week after the state had already did their autopsy, if not a little bit more. So I want y'all to think about that. The body's already by the time the second autopsy is being done, the body's at least about 2 weeks old, at the least. The body has been in the water for we don't know how long, and then already an autopsy has been done. So it makes it hard because when the body has started to decay, it makes it very difficult for you to be able to make out, especially the body starts to decay. The body has been in water for a very long, extended period of time. So it makes it hard for you to be able to tell if there was bruising or fight marks or anything like that. You kind of can't really make that out. Now, in an autopsy, what they do is they take the organs out, they examine the organs, then they put the organs back in. Now, which is interesting in this case, especially when it comes to a quote unquote drowning case, what they do is they actually take the throat out. okay? And they do examining to tell if it was maybe some type of physical, I don't want to cross TikTok, if it was some type of physical damage done where somebody like put
I'm
their hands
sorry.
on the
I'm
person.
sorry, Afro. Is the person next to me loading?
Yeah,
They're loaded. You see them, right? Because they've
yeah,
been stuck on that. Okay, I can't see his screen. All right.
yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry to interrupt.
No,
So
it's
we had a
fine.
rash of the,
So
the
yeah.
corn being shown.
What about his organs were put back and then examined from the second autopsy. I saw the whole press conference earlier. It was put back. They said that there was nothing wrong, like internally, and or they can't really conclusively decide. You know, they couldn't conclusively decide. He is being buried with all of his organs and all of that stuff. What's interesting though is that they did find something kind of odd in the autopsy. In the autopsy, they found some type of red mark, some type of reddish, reddening thing on the back of his head. They found they can't conclusively determine, but from the looks of it, it appears to be like maybe he was struck on the back of his head. It could have been a bruise. It could have been somebody hit him or anything like that, but it was really odd. There was a redness, which indicates, and I got to be very specific with my words here, which a lot of people, I'm going to say, a lot of people can say that indicates that there was some type of strike to the back of his head. All right. Now you have people, I'm going to bring people up in just a second. You have people online who are saying that this proves that there was no foul play. And I'm going to say it does not prove that there wasn't any foul play. They can't confirm that there was or isn't. They're still waiting on more evidence. They're still waiting to make further examinations, but it doesn't prove that. It doesn't prove that. Okay. So I just want to talk to y'all about the results of the autopsy as I'm bringing people up. Now, what is interesting, what we can, I guess, confirm, I'm going to say this for myself, what we can pretty much all agree on is that the story, and this is why a lot of people are feeling like it's foul play, not just because of the racist history of mysterious young black folk being found turned up missing for no reason or wind up losing their life under very mysterious circumstances. That happens, and that's always happened. But the boys, the Caucasian boys, their story does not make sense. Their story does not add up. Okay. There was a picture. I also have to mention there was a picture where Nolan Wells was in the picture, and they're saying that this happened at like 1:00 in the morning after he left the island. So this picture is evidence that he did leave the island. However, I don't know if anybody has been able to confirm the legitimacy of the picture, if the picture was real or not or whatever, because we have people doctoring stuff like that, but we don't know. Now, I also heard that the girl he was talking to, because he was talking to some girl he wanted to, I guess, was interested in, she testified that he didn't indicate that he wanted to stay on the island either. So a lot of stuff is not adding up, which is why, even with the autopsy here, which is why a lot of people are still suspecting that this is foul play. All right. So that's what we have right here.
So, Afro, before we get started, if somebody, sorry I dropped you, Shar, but we have a rash of people going on tea time and then showing corn, if you get what
She
I'm
was here.
saying.
She was here yesterday. So
She was here yesterday. Okay. Also, your other,
do that. Okay,
what?
sorry.
Thank you. No problem. Also, your another one of your super fans entered Omega Black. He does join the panel, so they
shout
get
out to
panel.
Omega. Okay.
Yeah, they get panel priority in case we fill up. So I don't think I have to remind everybody, but TikTok friendly language only. If we ask you your ethnic group, because we've been kind of lax on that lately, please be honest. Black American is a real ethnic group, right? And what that means is that we can trace our ancestors, direct ancestors, to an 1870 USA census, which is our emancipation era, right? 1863 through 1865, technically, even though we had those who were emancipated in 1866. So we are a real ethnic group with real history on this land. If you can't do that in your ancestry, then you are your parents' country of origin. If you're a citizen, let's say Jamaica, then you're Jamaican American or Caribbean American, and that's fine. Afro Elite allows everybody to speak here. As long as you are not disrespectful or spread misinformation, then we won't interrupt you. This is a very sensitive topic, so I expect the white tea folks to come in and stuff like that. So one band, one sound, and no disrespect. Also, Afro Elite has Orange Heart by his name. Click the Orange Heart, complete your daily mission, claim your points. It'll help improve him in the algorithm and your ranking as a fan, and it'll unlock some gifts for you to gift only the host, but you could gift the panel as well if you want to from the other part of the gallery. Afro, if you go to your gift gallery, you should see a community gift. You have to unveil it. I can't unveil it, but sometimes people like that. For the super fans, you do have some new stickers. Y'all could get in there and put it in the chat. Afro also has a gift goal. Help him achieve his gift goal. Share the live. Let's get some fresh perspectives in here. Cameras off. We're not doing the camera thing. And I think that's it, right? Tap, tap,
Yeah.
tap, 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 tap the screen. Get them up to at least 10K now, because there are other hosts who will leave. One moment, I'm landing here. There are other hosts who won't allow you on the panel until they get to a certain number of likes. So go ahead and let's show Afro some
Yeah.
appreciation. Yeah, and tap the screen. Thank you. I land. Thank you for the gifts, y'all.
And then there are some people reporting lives, like if we say race or if we say black or white too much. So I've been trying to not mention race in that way, just saying like what y'all said, foundationally African American, or I don't know. I just be careful saying race.
One moment. It's
Now we
no
did. Come on
nothing.
now. We talked
Wait a
about the
minute. Wait a
African
minute.
American thing yesterday.
Oh, this happened yesterday. So there's no such thing as a foundational African American.
Okay.
Please don't do that
I got in
again.
trouble in another live because they're like, you can't
Yeah.
say this. I'm sorry.
I get it. I get it. Let me tell you something. There is a group on Facebook named Foundational African American, and they're out to undermine foundational Black Americans with some of their rhetoric. But foundational Black American is our chosen social and cultural ethnonym, unless we could get it on a census. So we're Black American. We reject African American. If you still identify as such, that's on you. But I got to tell you, we don't do that in this room. Thank you.
All right. Okay. All right. Now you've been trying to get on for a while, so
Oh, me?
yeah.
Hi.
Well, damn.
What I wanted to kind of bring up is the fact that this is bringing so much awareness to this next step, because obviously this has been something that isn't just coincidental. I almost want to say it's a pattern when it comes to lives, especially young African American Black people in the U.S., specifically the South. So I was researching stuff about autopsies and the medical examiner and things like that. I was going back to what you mentioned before.
And before you continue talking, why do you continue to do that? If we said in this room we identify as Black American, why you keep slipping in the African American? Like, that's really disrespectful.
I'm not trying to be offensive. I didn't
It
get
is
part of what you
offensive
said.
though, because this has
I'm
been
at a
going on since
hotel.
yesterday.
So my Wi-Fi keeps coming in and out. I was in my car. I slept in my car last night. So I'm really sorry. I'm not trying to be offensive.
Okay. All right. Hold on. Before we get derailed. All right. That is how we operate in this live. And when we do lives, that's something that
So
we're
what do I
moving
need to
past.
say?
Okay, so you can over here you can say black. You can say black over
Okay,
here.
okay.
All
I
right. So
wasn't sure.
it's other people operate their lives differently, but over here we don't use African American.
Because we're okay, black.
All right.
Black. I'm not trying to be offensive. I don't black. All right.
Okay.
With actually becoming so common.
Okay, well, you know what? We'll just get back to you, okay? Let's get to Tara. We'll get back to you in a little bit, okay? Let's get to Tara real quick.
How you guys doing?
We good. How you doing?
Good. I'll be honest. It has been very, very, very hard for me to follow this story, which doesn't happen to me too often, like where I can't really even read about it. I think it might be on the heels of the Carmelo Anthony thing, and then I think about Rodney Hinton, and I really feel like our ancestors are talking to us in a way that we've got to figure out, and we've got to figure it out soon. I think that spiritually, and this is just, I'm speaking for myself, I just feel like spiritually our ancestors are creating some urgency for us, because the cycles in which revolution happens, it's really like apparent that we are in that stage, or in the stage we were in right before the civil rights era with Emmett Till and everything else. And I know we always say that, but like I saw today somebody put up a picture of this boy's mother, Nolan Wells, next to Mamie Till, and how much she looks like her. It's like, it's just little things like that where I'm just like, I don't know if the solution to all of this has to do with the system, the state, and the government. I know that we want a hate crime bill. I know that we want legislation and whatnot, but I don't know. This in particular, and I never get to this space, but I have two sons that are this age, and my oldest son just graduated high school and he wants to go on a senior trip with friends. And it's like, I did that when I was his age, and I don't want to stop him from doing things that, are going to enrich him and, give him opportunities, because I've raised and invested him to have those things. But I'm scared to death. Like scared to death in a sense of like, I feel like I have to threaten, and I don't know if I can say, the T word, whatever it is. I don't know if TikTok's going to be crazy, but I feel like I have to really get at these kids and their parents prior to anything even happening. Like I right now I'm figuring out like what businesses they work at, like all these different things, just to be ready in case something happens. And like, I don't even like to talk like that, but I really feel like we're getting to a point where, because this has happened to us before, where there wasn't talking and there wasn't this bargaining. And honestly, I also feel like they know we're getting to a point of the whole Rodney Hinton temperament, because I'm seeing something that, we're seeing something we haven't seen before, like Ben Crump and Al Sharpton and Colin Kaepernick and all these other people coming out saying that they're going to give money to help this family. When have they ever stepped up to do that? When have they ever said, oh, we're going to get $50,000 for anybody who has any connection to what happened? And I just feel like it's a hat trick that they're playing again for voting and for trying to get the Black vote, because whatever the grassroots says, they deny it until they have to co-opt it. They have to jump on it. And so we've been saying, where are all these celebrities? Where are all these people when this stuff happens? And now all of a sudden, so we got some people stepping up saying they want to do, but it's like, okay, is this real or is it a hoax? Like, I don't know. This one in particular situation, along with ones that have followed up to it, and that coroner is dirty. The Mississippi coroner that looked over his body first is a white woman, and she's the same woman who was saying that these boys down there that had hung themselves, so they said, or whatever,
Ooh,
that there was no suspicion.
You can't say the H.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, dangled, I don't know. But, these mysterious unalivings that have happened down there, every single one that she's gotten that has to do with a Black man, she's saying that there's no foul play, no matter what it is. So she needs to be investigated. And so, I don't know. I just wanted to bring that out. Is like, does anybody else think that, like,
Even
Ben
if
Crump
he's,
and
investigated, they haven't.
Hold on. We're gonna let her land. I'm gonna get back to you. I know you've been waiting, but we got to let her land though.
I'm landing right now. I just want to know if anybody else thinks that, Ben Crump and Colin Kaepernick and Tyler Perry, of all people, coming out saying that they want to help, that this is just a hoax by the Democrats, that they're trying to make it seem like they're listening to what the grassroots is saying when they don't really mean it.
And I answer this, I think Tyler and Colin would be more sincere than Ben Crump and Al Sharpton. I call them the coroner chasers in charge. They're not accepting cases from people who have survived white supremacist attack. You usually see, well, Ben Crump, for the ones who have unalived and there's going to be a paycheck attached to it. So I doubt them more than I do Tyler and Colin.
Yeah,
That's just my
it's interesting, but what is in it for Colin Kaepernick? Like, so, but I agree. It's probably more sincere. I'm not going to say all the way, but it might be a little bit more sincere from them than maybe Ben Crump or Al Sharpton. But let's get back to you. What's your name? Charvet? Is that what you said before? Okay, Charvet. Okay. We're not going to have. Anyway, are you ready? Yeah, are you ready? Yeah.
Yes. So basically, when the state takes over the body, what they're saying is like parts of the body were still under the state, which is why they didn't send it over for the independent autopsy. Is the only thing I could find as to why those parts of his body weren't sent over. And I was reading all the language of the different steps to the autopsy, and there's so much in there. Like you said earlier, you had mentioned something about the body decaying and things like that can be put in the way to make it seem like there was no foul play. So even if they investigate the medical examiner to the point, they had it down to a science, to a point where even if she was to be investigated, it all would work in her favor, because that's how far they looked into it, and that's how far they know about the system. So the system already is working against the victim, Nolan, unfortunately. And I just wanted to mention that. So I didn't even know, and I'm in the medical field. I've been in the medical field for about 14 years now. I didn't even know the extent of the steps that they went through. I knew some of the anatomical terminology when Mr. Crump was mentioning on TV, but I didn't know the steps once they hand over the body to the state and they have to expedite. A girl was talking about you have to pay extra to get that stuff, parts of his body, expedited back for the independent autopsy, on top of the fees for the independent autopsy. And that right there, I was like, wow. And then there's a legal part that his body is now a legal part of the legal system. So they have to go through all that just to get his body back, just to examine it. All this being time sensitive, because his body is, unfortunately, is decomposing. So I just wanted to mention that in there. At first, I did say, this is messed up. They're playing in our faces, but there's so much behind it, because it's now part of the state of Mississippi now. So I didn't even know all this was going on, and I've been in the medical field for a minute. So there's so much that this is opening. It's opening up so many. It's pulling back the veil for a lot of people. But anyway, I just want to throw that in there.
Okay.
As a Black woman, I apologize.
All right. Yeah. It's kind of fishy. It's fishy. Let's get to. Let me see. The next person who came up was B positive.
Hello, everyone.
How you doing?
I'm doing fine. I just have a question. I know everyone's saying Crump, this and that. We got Nancy Grace on board. But I'm just like, what does it mean undetermined? Does that mean, was it foul play or?
Well, it means that there's still an investigation going on. They haven't gotten all of the evidence to make a conclusive answer. That's
Okay.
essentially what it means. That, they can't say what it is, and they can't fully, with 100% confidence, rule out exactly what it is and what it's not. Okay?
Okay.
That's, as of right now, the recording of this, that's what they're saying. Let's get the likes up, y'all. We got a bunch of people in here. Let's get the likes up. We can get to like 30K in a couple minutes.
Okay.
So that's pretty much what they're saying. Although I found it very interesting. If you were here in the beginning of the live, you can see even in the picture right there, there's some mark on the back of his head.
Yeah, I do see that.
So a lot of people are suspecting that it comes off like he was hit on the back of his head. All right. So that's what a lot of people are saying, however, they can't, because they're professionals. So they can't say, well, that's what it looks like to me. They got to go through all of the steps to examine if this was blunt force trauma or if this was something else. They have to rule things out, and there was a lot of limitations considering when they got the body back and the condition the body was in when they got it. So that's what we know for now.
Okay, thank you. I'll land from here, but it's just weird. I just want to tell everybody watch who your friends are. I know you guys talking about Crump, this one, that one.
Mm-hmm.
To be very vigilant who's all around you. That's all.
Mm-hmm. Now, somebody in the comments, before we move on to the next speaker, somebody in the comments asked a question: what if he fell off the back of the boat? Now, that's a possibility. Now, I would also add, if he fell off the back of the boat, that would completely prove that the boys were lying, because his quote unquote friend said that he was left and they had no idea what happened to him, that he wanted to stay on the island. So if he fell off the back, even if it was an accident and he fell unconscious, and if that happened to him, and for whatever reason they left him there or something happened or whatever the case is, why are they making up this story that he wanted to
But
stay on an island?
Afro, can I add in one thing?
Very real quick, and then we're gonna get to
They said that he was hit at the party. I don't know if y'all caught that piece where they had placed him. He had got off the island and he was on land at that party, and they got into a fight in the pool. And the judge made everybody leave, but Nolan stayed behind. Is what they were saying. The kids were saying, but it seemed like they were scared to say anything. That's where I thought it had happened, because that's what the high school kids were talking about. But I don't
yeah.
know. I could be wrong.
And that's another thing too, because you have different kids saying different things. Okay, I've heard that as well too. You have certain kids saying that he was at an after party around 1 o'clock something in the morning, and he got into a fight there at the after party.
Yeah,
Then you have the original people he was with before, the folk he took the picture with.
Mhm.
They're saying he was on an island and they didn't see him after leaving the island. So
Yeah,
both those
okay. I
things
didn't
can
hear
be
that
true.
one. Okay.
You know, so it's a lot of there's still it's suspicious because somebody lying. That's what we do know. Let's get to Talia, I think, right? Talia, you can unmute yourself. Okay, Talia. Okay, you're now ready. Then let's go
Yes.
to.
Hello?
All right, just in the nick of time. How you doing?
Hey, okay. Yeah, I don't understand. I'm upset that the friends left him on the island. I do think there was some suspicious, activity going on. And I really don't understand the mark on the back of his head.
Okay. Yeah, this is not making sense. All right. Yep, not making sense. That is, if he was left on the back of the island, it's none of this stuff is making sense, and that's what people are suspecting. All right, because the story doesn't add up at all. It doesn't make any sense at all, especially when you consider the fact they delete messages out his phone and they got his they have his cell phone, period. Why would you have his cell phone at all, period? And you don't know where he is. He's on an island somewhere and you just kicking it with his phone. That doesn't make any sense at all. All right. Let's get to Ma Jolie.
Okay. Hi, how are you?
You good? How you doing?
I'm a little bit disappointed because I think that the is her name Tierra, said something about, and I may be wrong, Ben Crump being in this is a chaser, whatever the term is. I'm 57 years old, so I've been around a little bit. And the purpose of confusion is so that you don't know what happened. That's what people do that don't want you to know. Secondly, I was in a live, and I get dropped every time I go in this live. So I just say I'm not going to be in this live because she only wants to hear her side of the story. And basically, her side is that everything is about Ben Crump. My thing is there has always been someone leading or perhaps intervening in Black people's murders, or I'm
You gotta
sorry,
say like unaliving. Gotta say
murders, yeah,
yeah.
unaliving.
Okay,
I'm so
that's
sorry.
true. Hey, everybody,
Uh,
tap the screen. We got 300 people in here. Tap the screen, everybody.
Afro, so I'm going to clear that up. I said Ben Crump was a chaser. Tiara asked, how did we feel about Ben Crump
okay.
attached? But if you only on TikTok and you don't know more who we will say pro-Black leaders, then you don't know that some have reached out to Ben Crump about people who were alive and victimized
Yes.
by white supremacy. And he literally said no. So that's why I say that.
Okay.
That's why I say that. I have a reason to say that because of what I know and who I sat under. But you are entitled to your opinion. But I'm giving you the reason why I said that.
Okay.
Because there
Thank
was
you.
a young Black man who worked for, I think it was FedEx, and white men literally pew-pewed up his van, and Ben Crump wouldn't take the case. So
There's also a case that Ben Crump won for a white man who was unalived suspiciously. That's before his profile. So when we talk about Ben Crump is a civil rights attorney, that's it. So whomever civil rights is violated, that's what he's going after. Again, he can't
who's
be
dead,
everywhere.
ma'am? Who's dead? Because the live one is still living and was still a victim. His civil
You
rights were violated. And I'm in my 50s too. So
okay?
you could continue. Go ahead. I was just telling you
But
why
I'm
I
sorry.
said
You
it.
you
Thank
you
you.
asked me a question, and I didn't hear you because I was still talking. I'm sorry. You asked me what now? Who's what?
I didn't ask you a question. You
Uh huh.
said Ben Crump is for civil rights, right? So,
I
but
said
the
he's a civil
person,
rights attorney.
right? And the
Yes.
person who's still living, his civil rights was violated. But you bring up a white man who was unalived, and Ben Crump took that case. Like you're not helping your statement either. He's taking all the deceased people's cases on. What about the living who was harmed and their civil rights was violated? He's not
But
taking those. That's why I said
what?
he's a
Just
coroner.
hold on.
Listen,
Hold on a
listen,
second.
listen. No, no, no. I said he's a coroner chaser.
I didn't hear any of that. I didn't hear that
Okay.
part.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you. I'm
Okay.
finished.
So what I'm trying to get to is that it's unfortunate that I'm not even talking about your life. I was actually talking about somebody else's life.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I also said I thought that Tierra said something like that, and you corrected me, yes. But I don't understand the importance of the Ben Crump thing. I am not suggesting it's important in your life. I said a life that I was in before. And that becomes more of the story in Alive with Black people, which I don't get
Can I
because
address?
we have not. Can I finish?
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
What I don't get is that there has always been someone that is trying to stand up for Black people. There's always been someone, Ben Crump or whomever, those other attorneys, because Ben Crump is not licensed in the state of Mississippi. So the other attorneys are also going to get paid as well. We're not harping on them. So just don't get that. This whole situation with Nolan smells funny. All of
Okay.
it. And the fact that they didn't have, some of his parts, were not present. It's inconclusive because they wanted to be inconclusive.
Okay.
It's undetermined because that's what they want it to be. But go ahead, you can say something because
Well, I'm gonna let Tierra address because you addressed her initial
right.
statement, so I'm gonna let her address that, and then we're
And then
gonna,
the
keep on.
young lady said she was the one that said it.
Yes, I
Well,
just wanted to clarify why
they
I.
both said something about Ben Crump.
Yeah, I wanted to clarify why I brought him up, along with Tyler Perry and some other notable people. The reason why I brought it up, and this is something that, again, I'm talking about cycles in our history. You're right. We have always had somebody standing up for Black injustice, right? And what tends to happen, see, there's revolution and then there's counter revolution. See, white supremacists, I don't know if we can say that, is always on our counter revolution. Okay, so what they do to counter is they will find somebody, and this is no different than an overseer on a plantation. They will find somebody who is supposed to be working in the best interest of Black people, one man, and overload him to be the face of freedom fighting and justice fighting for us, so that we won't ask about hate crime bills, so that we can't have, somebody who's working on things that prevent this from happening. You see what I'm saying? If somebody like BX was saying, if he was to persecute some of these people who were violating the civil rights of the living, it might deter some of these deaths, but we don't see him do that. See, these are all very valid questions, because we're talking about Ben Crump. We are not talking about Johnny Cochran. We are not talking about Alton Maddox, people that actually made some sort of stride to help the living who were being railroaded. And not only that, we're working on reparations and working on legal justice for us as a whole, not just being the guy that shows up, when somebody is dead. I think that's a very valid question to be asking. And I brought him up because they're making him the face of it like they normally do. Like you said, he's not licensed to practice in Mississippi. So, where are the civil rights attorneys that are down there? And not only that, I was just putting it along with the fact that usually we see Ben Crump. What we don't normally see after Ben Crump is other, he's not really a celebrity, but he kind of is, but celebrities that are not, involved with the law or anything, rushing to give money and rushing to say, I'm going to help. That's not normally the case. And the grassroots, my question was that the grassroots tends to say stuff and demand things, and the status quo tells us to go to HE double hockey sticks until they can't anymore. And then they'll come around and act like what we were saying was their idea. And so that is the point I was trying to make about it, was that we have been saying for years, where are all these celebrities who, when they get fired from a football team, Colin Kaepernick, want Black people to stand up for them. But then when we need something, they're nowhere to be found. And is this, because it's not, we didn't see it with Carmelo Anthony until after he got railroaded. Then we saw some people come along and want to help. We didn't see it before, like again, with Rodney Hinton. Has anybody come out to want to help him, or any of these other situations that are not as mainstream as Nolan's situation? We've not seen celebrities come out publicly and say, we're going to help with that. And the reason why I brought the Democrats into it is because one of the things that they tend to do is they tend to use celebrities to sway the Black vote. So right now, Colin Kaepernick or whoever, or Tyler Perry, we already know what time he's on. He's not telling us to vote for Democrats yet, but if he goes along and does some what looks like grassroots work, then later on when he comes out and tries to tell Black people, oh, you should vote for this person, vote for that person, they're thinking that they're going to gain our confidence doing that. That's the point I was trying to get. I wasn't trying to center on Ben Crump, but I did mention him for those simple reasons that I tend to think of him as a bit of an overseer. And they want the type of attorney that isn't going to be like a Johnny Cochran or an Alton Maddox, if that makes sense.
It doesn't really make sense, because Johnny Cochran was not a civil rights attorney.
That's okay. He fought for Black people, though.
Yeah.
And he was fighting for reparations. He had a whole team of attorneys that were working on it.
You know what, host? I haven't interrupted any of these young people on this.
Okay, yeah, that's fair. That's fair. I'm gonna let you respond. Hold on, I'm gonna let you. There's a few people who haven't gone.
Talking.
Hold on.
No, go ahead, because I haven't interrupted any of them.
No, I'm gonna let you go ahead, ma'am. I'm gonna let you go ahead, because I have to get to other speakers who haven't spoken yet.
You can go ahead and get to the other speakers, because I don't really understand why it's such a focus on what Crump is doing. I just don't get
Okay.
that. I don't get the stretch to the Democrats. So I have more to say.
Okay, hold on. Let me ask you a question.
That's okay. And
So
Tyler Perry paid for the funeral.
Ma'am,
okay. Go ahead.
So we can give an answer. We're not suspecting that. We're not saying that that's bad or anything like that. And sometimes people do good things and they should get all their credit for it. However, we do, as a community, we do have to be suspicious of very strategic or what appears to be very strategically placed good deeds, you know, that can be used to gain credibility that they will use to cash in later. So that's all the question is being raised. It's not necessarily an attack even on Ben Crump or Tyler Perry or Colin Kaepernick or anything like that. This is just a question that is being raised because the timing seems coincidental or not coincidental, you know. So that's why I don't think either Tara or BX were trying to make a huge focus on that, because there are points of when we see them there tends to be a pattern that we see when they do show up when it comes to these cases.
Yes.
Thank you, Afro. I think that
So the whole
Black
thing.
Americans, one moment, I'm going to land. I think Black Americans have the right to question everything. And you just picked out Ben Crump, but you didn't mention what I said about Colin and Tyler. I mean, there was more than just Ben Crump. So you're focusing something on Ben Crump for no reason.
And
We said what we said and we moved on.
I think also maybe you might be feeling like maybe this is carried over from the other space you said you were in,
Well, I was
where they were
trying
like
to.
going in on it.
Yeah, I was trying to figure out, is that what the thing is, because that other space, I didn't hear the whole conversation with everybody on your panel because I haven't been here. This is my first time here. Have been here a long time, but I did notice that in the other space, the focus was on why Crump is doing what he's doing. Why is he chasing this? And why, instead of the focus that should really be on, why is a medical examiner not doing what he's supposed to do? Why is a district attorney? So that's what I'm saying. That's when I said I was disappointed. I'm disappointed. And I also said about the other live that unfortunately this is that live is a Black led live. And these people really believe, instead of focusing on getting to the bottom of it, they more focus on the Ben Crump is going to get paid. So that's all I was really kind of trying to say. And I was hoping that this live was not the same.
No,
but I was getting interrupted. So I didn't really get to finish.
No, we get it. We get what you're saying. This live isn't about that, but the question does have merit, and the question was asked, you know, because I mean, it does connect and it is relevant. So the question was asked, but we're not going to hyper focus on Ben Crump or Tyler Perry, Colin Kaepernick, whatever.
Right.
You know.
Okay. Great.
All right. Okay. Cool. All right. Let's get to rising FBA queen. Rising FBA queen.
Hello?
How you doing?
I'm doing well. I just want to say this whole case, it seems a bit off code, from the grassroots. It seems like that everybody is green, as far as the parents, no disrespect or whatever, to their son or whatever. They say that it's not race. It's not about race. But then you got civil rights attorneys and you got Sharpton, he's on deck, and you got all these people on deck, but it's not about race. I feel like everybody's on deck because it's all about race. Like, we all know what this is, okay? Now, what they said about his head, I heard on TMZ, they said that you get a mark like that from laying on the slab. So now they're already putting into place reasons why he got something on the back of his head, and I just feel like as grassroots people and FBA, we all know what it is. We all know what it is with Ben Crump and Al Sharpton as well. And with that, I'll land my plane.
All right.
Can I make, before you move on, can I just make that 1 minute, Charvet, 1 minute. So I just want to tell everybody, I understand where Ma Jolie is coming from, right? But for future reference, this is her first time here, but for all other newcomers, here, Afro Lee is not a host that's on TikTok day in, day out. He really doesn't know what is happening in other panels, so we ask that you don't bring other panels here, but go by the prompt, because it says Nolan Wells autopsy results. And this isn't directed as a slight to Ma Jolie, but there's some people in the chat too who didn't get it. So here we don't bring other panels here because he doesn't know what they're saying, who these people are, and he can't really speak on what he didn't witness. Neither can I, his mod, okay? That's all, Afro. That's all I wanted to say.
Absolutely correct. All right. We almost get it. Let's get to, hold on. Let's get to Trillion Harris.
Hi, everybody.
How
I've
you
been
doing?
sitting here listening, and all day I've been reading and going back and forth with the autopsy report. Now, firstly, it's probably going to be deemed undetermined or inconclusive because at any time, whether it's 20 years from now, whether it's tomorrow, whenever someone comes forward, if they don't find evidence to charge anybody, then they can always come back with the charge of unaliving. But if they close it, it's going to be hard because you have to go back and find an examiner to reopen it. And I believe it's the original examiner. So I'm okay with that because at any time you can come back and you can drop charges on a person. But also, I feel like it is about race. Anytime you have a group of two, three, four, or more people in the same race, and you have somebody else that is minority. At some point, I don't know why we don't understand this because we don't know what's being said in these people's homes. But looking at the background and the bio of the mother, the judge, you can pretty much guess what's being said in her household. So whatever she's saying to her child or to her maid or husband or whomever might be in her house, and that kid is hearing it, it's what it's going to carry over into his life or not.
Okay. You're breaking up a little bit. Ooh.
Okay, I believe it was about race. I believe something happened on the boat. I don't think they ever left him. I think he left that island with them. And whatever happened may have happened on that boat. And then they all decided, okay, we have to do something else or we have to get advice from somebody. But I don't think they left him. And I know that it's foul play. I feel like it's foul play. And when you're doing an autopsy and you're taking organs, even the private examiner should have had access to the organs that were removed or whatever you removed. He has to have a portion or part of that or all of that should accompany the body when it arrives to him, or he should have went there in Mississippi and performed. He probably can't because of licensing, but he should have teamed up with somebody else and he should have performed it there. And then that way you will have more access and you don't have to cross state lines with different rules and regulations and licensing. That's what I personally believe. And also real quick on Ben Crump and Al Sharpton, we wouldn't even have these conversations today if it was not for people like him. So stop looking at how much money he's going to make because whatever it is, trust and believe he deserves it because we would not be able to have these conversations. I don't know what's wrong with Black people and other people. We would not have these conversations had not it been from him, for him, and people before him. So please keep that to yourself. Let's talk about the people that's
Okay.
involved.
Keep your opinion to
BX, hold
yourself.
on, hold on. We wouldn't be able to have
Chastising
the
us.
conversation about Nolan Wells if it wasn't for. Are you saying that before we address what you said? Is that what you're saying, that we wouldn't know about Nolan Wells if it wasn't for Ben Crump? Trillion, you can answer.
They cut me off. I said yes, because how would you know about Nolan Wells if it was not for him? You may
Okay.
see a brief notification or brief announcement on the news, and that's local news. It would not be national, it would not be throughout the US if it was not for people like
Okay,
that.
I want y'all. Okay, all right.
And I land on that.
Okay, well, thank you. Here's the thing, though. Nolan Wells had already been viral on TikTok before Ben Crump ever touched it. All right, and this isn't to discredit anybody, but let's be very. Yes, it was. It was. Y'all can actually go look up the videos and when they went viral. It's very easy to find out when certain cases or certain things went viral, especially on TikTok. You can find out the date it went viral. You can find out how many people viewed it, when they commented on it, all of that. So the case had already gotten traction. It was already YouTube videos being made about it. It was already TikTok lives and videos being made before Ben Crump got involved. And what happens is Ben Crump tends to
Okay,
get
so who's
involved. Hold on. Ben Crump tends to get involved on very viral cases that have already
that's okay.
oh, and I'm not saying that's a problem, but I'm saying you're trying to give Ben Crump credit for something that you can't give Ben Crump credit for, because if the case he picks up has already gained traction, you can't give him the credit for exposing a case because people had already known about it.
I didn't take it
So
that.
who's
All right. So
next level
what I'm
name?
saying is
Someone
that
in the
when people,
comments said the
hold
family
on,
reached out to Ben.
the family might have, but we knew about the case pretty much immediately
Oh,
when it happened.
Don Lemon.
We knew about the case. We knew about the case on TikTok. It was
But
viral on TikTok. We can look up the dates of when these people addressed a certain situation.
Mhm.
We knew about the case when it happened. All right,
But I
because some
think
of his friends were saying things about it.
what
When
people are trying to
when he went missing, his friends were reporting on it. Okay, and his friends had shared the picture, the last picture he took. And then that started to create the conversation of, what were you doing on the boat anyway? That led to other people commenting on the story. And then you saw people like Don Lemon, Ben Crump, and all of that start to address it. This was before the body was even
Who's
found.
going to represent it at the next level?
I'm not okay.
Yeah, but who's going to
You
represent
said,
it once it's
I'm
on
addressing your
TikTok?
Let him
original
finish.
ma'am. I'm addressing your original comment. Your original comment was that we wouldn't know about it had it not been for Ben Crump.
Can I go next?
I'm saying the evidence actually says the opposite of that. All right. I'm not trying to take away anybody's credit for something that they actually deserve and actually did do. But I'm saying that what we tend to do with people like Ben Crump and people who have, I guess, notoriety or fame, what we tend to do is overcredit them and say, well, we wouldn't be anywhere without them. We wouldn't be anywhere without them. Okay, let's not do that. Let's not do that.
And there's nothing wrong with black people. This whole thing, like, I don't know what's wrong with black people. Say what it is you really feel. Are you talking about the millennial and Gen Z generation? Because we tend to know about these stories before they hit mainstream news, which is when a Ben Crump picks it up.
I think
Okay,
the
and then
family
what can you do
We're
about
not the
it?
ones that are
Here.
running around. We're not the ones running around attacking people.
And
You know, like we're not the ones, you know.
1 minute.
So what do you mean? What's wrong with black people?
Right. One moment, Tiara. 1 moment. So it's not what you said. You're entitled to your opinion, but it's the chastising. It's the putting down of the whole black people. What's wrong with? I don't know. But you mentioned mainstream, so you're not even tapped into grassroots, because grassroots get these things first. And as a journalist, I have to tell you that social media apps, right? Influencers, creators, also other journalists are more credible than Don Lemon. And they
that's
get it
probably
first.
true.
And so
But
the
how can they
problem,
move it to the
I'm
next
a
Hold on,
level?
man, I'm a man. So the
let her
problem
speak.
with your
It's
comment
a
was the
news reporting
chastising of us questioning something. But isn't there COINTELPRO? Doesn't that exist? Doesn't everything get co-opted and this, that, and the third? And I mean, we have a right to question everything. Look at our history. People come in like they this good sheep, this good minded person. Meanwhile, they scamming the whole community. Now, I'm not saying he's a scammer, but I'm saying we have the right to question them. We have a right. But you don't have a right to put all of us down. And then to credit mainstream media, when mainstream media always has an agenda. That's all I wanted to say.
Don Lemon's a broadcast journalist. He's a professional, long career broadcast journalism.
Hold on. Okay, what are you saying that to say?
What I was saying to say, is it my turn? 'Cause I've been
I'm
trying
gonna
to
let you
ask.
go. Yeah. Since you brought that, what are you saying that to say?
So my thing is, I don't necessarily feel that Ben is in this for the money. And I understand what you guys are saying. Oh, this is a post-mortem case, or this is a case after he passed away. He's a professional. He's a lawyer. And so I feel like people are trying to say it in that way. And I think it discredits a lot of what this historically, the amount of time it's taken for us to get to this point historically has been faster than any other case we've had happen like this. Normally we don't get answers. Normally we have to be in the street protesting. They were able to get us what we need, and we're closer to it, and it's called results. And I just don't feel that I should, turn against, not saying turn against them, but I feel like this energy should be shifted towards whoever did whatever happened. Because I don't feel that Nolan just naturally passed away. And so with that being said, they got the funeral costs covered. They were able to get an independent autopsy. That's expensive stuff. And this is where we normally, as a people, don't get that far. And so I like to mention people like Don Lemon and Ben Crump, because they were able to bring the awareness, and the awareness brings the justice. And without platforms, without them, even people saying, "Oh, he's getting money," "Oh, Al Sharpton, they're getting money," They're professionals. That's their job. And so I'm not upset about that. What I'm saying is, without them even try, we used to have to beg celebrities to even say anything. Celebrities used to not speak up. And that wasn't even that many months back. We had to beg people to speak up about Palestine and stuff like that. So for them to even step on their platform to use it, that's historical. That's historical.
Okay.
And that's
Now, hold on, everybody. Hold on.
compared to Emmett Till.
I'm gonna let you land.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir. I'm done.
Okay. Here's the thing. What we're not doing is trying to take any deserved credit from Ben Crump, Don Lemon, anybody who did address the situation, bring awareness to the situation. However, what tends to happen is when people tend to have already been a fan of said people, they tend to overcredit them. Like what we've just heard, they tend to be like, nobody would even be talking about it if it wasn't for Ben Crump. There's a lot of cases that are still currently been talked about.
I don't know
that
nobody
Ben
that
Crump,
can put the
hold
money
on,
up
hold on,
for an independent autopsy.
ma'am, stop, please stop.
That's big money.
Okay, if you do that one more time, I'm gonna have to remove you because you've been interrupting and kind of interjecting the entire time, and I'm trying to have a adult conversation.
I'm just passionate. I'm sorry.
No, right. There's a lot of cases that Don Lemon or Ben Crump has not touched that the community is very well aware of and on top of. So as far as giving them people who I assume are already fans, as far as giving them a lot of credit, more credit than they deserve, it's troublesome to do that. It's problematic to do that.
Yes, sir.
All right.
But who are we trying to credit?
Okay. I'm talking.
I understand.
All right. So
I'm trying to understand.
That's what was being said. Ben Crump, lawyers get money. We all understand that. However, the question is being raised because Ben Crump it's not like he's getting a lot of money. Ben Crump gets credibility for being a civil rights activist, and he uses that credibility on behalf of other agencies and other agendas that are not in the best interest of the Black agenda. Ben Crump will use his credibility as a civil rights attorney to then say, okay, now you need to vote this way or do this thing or do that thing. So it is not in bad faith. Okay, thank you. You have a good day. Okay. You have a good day, because I told you about it like 3 times at this point. It is not in bad faith that people question their intention, which is all that's being done. Nobody's saying, I don't trust them. I don't know. Nobody's dissing them. People are showing their hand because y'all are already kind of fans of these people anyway. Because nothing that has been said in this live should be so problematic y'all are rushing to their defense like that. Nobody's been on them like that for y'all to be jumping out the woodworks being their defense. I'm just saying something that has been said about them. Now, okay, now you guys are coming in their defense. And this is what we're saying. The credibility that they're gaining from the grassroots, from the community is too much. And what happens is we've seen this pattern of them misusing the credibility that they've gained. Okay, people are thinking Ben Crump in this situation, and we don't know. What do we know as of right now? Nobody has been charged. Nobody has been arrested. Okay, and before we parade anybody as a hero, let's evaluate everything. Don Lemon, he reports things Don Lemon was not the first person to report this, and Don Lemon has been incredibly biased. Okay. And when you have already shown that you are not independent for the black community, but you work on behalf of DNC or the GOP or any type of political agency, we cannot fully trust your credibility, because your credibility comes with a hidden agenda. Okay. It becomes a Trojan horse, and y'all like to praise the horse and not understand the trap within the horse. This is the question that is being brought up. All credit to whom is due. However, your convenient appearance will be questioned. It's as simple as that.
Okay, can I answer that? Can
We're
I?
gonna let's move on to the next speakers real quick. I'm gonna still keep you on here, but we're gonna move on to the next speakers.
Okay,
All right.
go ahead. Thank you.
Let's get to, what is your profile? Is that like a fire or something? What is that? Is that a flower? What is that?
It's some sort of seed flower or
Seaweed
something.
Okay.
But just call me KK. I want to say that I think people are just appreciative of, someone's being able to stand up, because I don't want to compare cases, but back to the Carmelo Anthony situation, apparently no black lawyers wanted to take the case. The black lawyers were actually telling them to go ahead with the white lawyer. But that's just, I just want to throw that in there. But Sharp said yesterday at the funeral that they were doing the services for free.
Okay.
So they're not getting paid.
Okay. And let's say that. And here's the thing: just because you don't like somebody doesn't mean they can't do a good thing. If Ben Crump is doing a good thing for the people and justice comes out of it, I'm not gonna be like, well, I don't like what you've done in the past, so I'm going to strip your credit away. If he's doing something good, that's fine. And you know what? Good for him. Congratulations to him, and he deserves his credit for it. However, we do have to count the reputation of Ben Crump and what happens when cases like this get brought up. Cases like this get brought up, then a couple months later, around election season, he's going to bring up Nolan Wells in Mississippi and then the importance of voting and all of that stuff. So we have to be aware of the tactic there. Okay, we can't just be blind to right now. We have to have a little bit of foresight. I'm not saying he might be doing something completely good just because it's in his heart to do it. He might be. However, we can't rule out that he might be using this for credibility that he's going to cash in later for a political party.
One moment before she responds, if you read Sister Brooks' comment, she said that's a lie. There were black lawyers who wanted to help, and it was Charleston White who told the family to go with white lawyers. So how sure are you about that statement, Miss? That black lawyers didn't want to take the case.
I'm gonna tell y'all the truth. I got that information from Dr. Umar on YouTube.
Oh Lord.
I love Dr. Umar. Please don't do that. Listen, I love Dr. Umar. I live for him because listen, as black people, we don't never do nothing. You guys, I'm just appreciative.
Hold on.
Don't do nothing.
Everybody can't talk at the same time. Hold on.
Listen,
Everybody can't talk at the same time.
I'm sorry, Afro. Can I have your ethnic group, KK?
I'm black. I'm 100%
I'm a
black.
foundational Black American. Okay,
Yes.
and you could trace your ancestors to an 1870 USA census.
I actually cannot.
In 1870 US, you haven't done that yet. Okay.
No.
So Dr. Umar is a bit out of touch. Ben Crump too. We're looking at him because he's over in Ghana. They're with this global reparations type of framework, but we're not following Dr. Umar. And I think he started asking for donations around that school around, I want to say 2010 through 2012. Like, it's been a while.
Mm-hmm.
And the school hasn't produced itself. He's with this. Times change, times evolved, and Dr. Umar has not evolved with the times to be Black American.
But you know what? And I peeped that. after,
Mm-hmm.
or actually earlier today after, watching the autopsy results, because I'm like, he always, verbal online, but when it's like time to get out on the battlefield, where he be at? But I'm not trying to sound like I'm taking his side or whatever, but he did say that basically the holdup is basically, whatever process where the white people got to approve the papers and stuff for it to actually be opened up. But he said it's done.
Can
He's
Okay.
I
been, he's been saying that
respond
for
to
a
that?
while.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'll go on mute, y'all.
Tara, I'm gonna let you go ahead, and then we're gonna get to some more. Then we're gonna get to the black receipt.
I want to kind of address this whole thing where people feel like they could say black people don't do anything. I think that is some real kind of like buck broken thinking that we have to get out of. Because if you will ask me, at the end of the day, the reason why these attacks are happening on black youth, and the reason why, like you said, we're getting the autopsy and all these other things that would take longer and more, strife to get to, it's coming quicker. I believe wholeheartedly because of Rodney Hinton and what he did. And at the end of the day, also Carmelo Anthony and what happened there. There's a changing of hand that's happening with black men, that's happening with black people. We are seeing now, and this is the travesty of the Carmelo Anthony case, is that the lawyer did not go into the psychology of post-traumatic slave syndrome and what it's like being black in America and how black men are tired of burying their children and tired of being killed by these people. And so, unalived. And so, if you study history, we have a cycle that we go through where every so many years, there's so many unalivings that happen to us that our men begin to rise up. And right now, we've got 17-year-olds that are willing to poke another 17-year-old with no questions asked. We have a black man who's willing to take out a white man who wasn't the one who did it, but doesn't care because he's a part of the group that did it with no questions asked. They cannot have more of that. That is what is fueling these attacks, and that's also what's fueling the people that they have as overseers and handlers, and as well as those who actually might want to make a difference to come in and be the intermediary. That is the greater issue. It's not about giving professionals a bunch of accolades and whatnot, because at the end of the day, it has not been professionals that have made revolutionary change for black people in America. Those are the people that have stewarded an issue that the grassroots and the public have already brought up. It's already been happening. Like Dr. King didn't create the civil rights movement. Civil rights was a movement that he began to get in front of. And so we have to know our history in a sense of they have certain reactions to us when we get tired and we start doing things that show we're tired. So these attacks that are happening are not just the regular racism. It's in response to us standing up. And so, it's not just about attorneys and professionals. It's about this cyclical thing that we sometimes lose the pulse on, but believe me, they are never losing the pulse on where we are. And so that's the point I just don't want to be missed, because all this, black people don't do this and black people don't do that. It's always somebody who probably ain't doing nothing that's saying that.
That's facts.
You ain't
That's
ever
facts.
lied about
Okay.
that.
That's
Okay.
facts.
All right. All right, but we gotta make sure we get to the hands of still more people who want to come up and speak. We gotta let people get up here and speak. I'm gonna cycle people in a little bit. Let's get to the black receipt.
Peace and blessings, Afro, BX, everybody else on the panel, and everybody in the chat.
Hmm.
Yeah, unfortunately, we dealing with a lot of opportunists who they see a bag or they see more political or just more clout, period, to gain. And what the sister earlier said about the Camelo compared to this, when you look at it, yes, people didn't really touch the Camelo case or the other cases before that, but they touched this. I think partly because he's bi ethnic and it's not going to rattle too much feathers, and also it can probably galvanize the POC community, but we all know since we're delineating, many of these people they're showing their true colors, so they don't really care. They're being anti-Black American like always. So us really discussing on the purpose of Ben Crump trying to push this. I mean, we should know the main reason. It's an opportunity for him to get more exposure and to get more cases to chase later on, because that's the main thing he has been doing. Because none of these individuals actually are in the communities and actually trying to help people who are not people who cases are not publicized all the time, because grassroots we point out different stuff every day that's happening to our people. And like the sister before me just said, and our people are getting to the point where, hey, well, the justice system is not doing its job, so we're going to take justice in our own hands. And that's what's scaring the so-called dominant society the most. So at the end of the day, hey, continue to stand on business, protect your family. If you learn how to protect your family and continue to build with other grassroots to galvanize more results in the end, because that's the main reason why these individuals with money and clout are getting involved, because they see us actually paying attention and trying to push for real justice. But shout out to everybody.
All right, thank you, thank you. All right, now we're gonna get to Texas. We're gonna get to Texas Twisted, and then XO. All right, we're gonna cycle some people through though. Been waiting for a while. Shout out to
Good,
y'all though. It's been an interesting conversation. No disrespect, but we're just getting as many people in here as possible. All right.
good,
You got
good
it. You got it,
afternoon.
Texas.
Good afternoon. I just want to state, listening to the comments, I think it's a real injustice when we don't know our history. We don't know the reasons for the why. Anyone knows with Mississippi, and I know this from a personal experience that happened in 1980, where a young man about the age of 18 was hung in a tree in Mississippi.
Ooh,
You
you
have
got
to
to be
understand.
more. You got to be more PG with your language, because TikTok is very sensitive.
Okay. Well, where a young man was unalive and found swinging, I should say, from a tree. You have to know the historical context and why these actions are occurring. Now, I can't say why this attorney is taking this case or why this celebrity is doing what. I can't read a mind. I can't determine their actions. But from the historical context of this is very significant. We're in the year 2026 and this stuff is still going on. And for the authorities in that state and a governor in that state to come and say, quote unquote, I don't know all the details, but there was no foul play. When we are getting the autopsy that has some questionable things that are being points that are being brought out, we have to stay on board at what is really the most important thing, that this young man is no longer with us. We have to stay on board with that. This young man is no longer with us. We have people, no matter whatever the reason is, that's trying to stand up and say enough is enough. Now, one of the persons that was mentioned, two of the people that were mentioned, that were celebrities or whatever, they are both products of the South. They are both products of Louisiana. So they know what the historical context of this is. We have to all come together and stop with this going after each other's throat and concentrate on what is the main important aspect of this. None of us would be talking about this if this young man was still with us today. We have to concentrate and not to get caught up in things that are not relevant.
Exactly.
We need to concentrate on what is relevant and move forward
Exactly.
with that. And that's all I want to say. I don't want to debate anybody, but it's very disappointed to hear the remarks that are being made on this panel.
Okay. Well,
You can go ahead and
respect.
drop me.
How
Okay,
we
hold
found
on.
out if his
Respectfully,
dad's
hold on,
Black
hold on, hold on,
American?
hold on. Respectfully, I appreciate your opinion. I'm going to say that. I appreciate your opinion. However, what we're not doing is we're not trying to take the subject away from Nolan or what happened. We're not trying to detract from that. We're not trying to say that, well, Ben Crump is a bigger focus or anything like that. That's not what's going on. However, what needs to be, what is important and does have merit, because if Ben Crump is connected to the case, his involvement should be discussed. Okay. Now it would be one thing if now what I'm gonna be honest, what I'm gonna call out is that if Ben Crump was being praised in this live, y'all wouldn't have an issue. But the fact that Ben Crump is being questioned in the live, now there's an issue. Oh, this isn't about Ben Crump. Oh, we should leave Ben Crump alone. Oh, it's like, okay, well, it comes off as you guys have some type of, you're a fan, okay? Or you have some respect of Ben Crump and you take issue not with the fact that we're mentioning somebody connected to the case, but more with the fact that we're mentioning Ben Crump. All right. And with that, because I'm listening and it sounds as if you guys are overlooking the questions that are being involved, because we're not bashing Ben Crump or Colin Kaepernick or who else is it? Tyler Perry. We're not bashing any of them, but the questions are being involved are respectful, but they are real legitimate questions that should be asked. And the fact that the question just comes off with this almost knee-jerk reaction of, oh, black people can never get along. Oh, black people can never get together. Oh, black people, all we do is fight. That knee-jerk reaction comes from somebody who is offended because they are a fan of said person.
I'm not a
All right.
fan of any of
And
these gentlemen. I'm just
I don't,
stating what
okay,
the
maybe you're
facts
not.
are.
Okay. Oh, okay. Maybe you're
And
not.
also historically, if you were to look, you had people like Thurgood Marshall, all of
Mm-hmm.
these other attorneys that proceeded that fought for civil rights. I think
Mm-hmm.
that's the pattern that's been trying to be continued. I don't have a allegiance to anybody, but
Okay.
knowing from personal experience what it is for a death of a
Okay.
young
But
man,
can I
a
ask you
death.
respectfully?
I'm
Let
not.
me ask you, what do you think we're questioning about Ben Crump? What do you think the
I don't care
issue
about
is?
Ben Crump. What I'm saying
But
is,
oh, okay, here's ma'am.
I
Okay, hold on,
see
hold
a
on, hold on, hold
miss.
on, hold on
I
though.
see a
Ma'am,
miss
hold on,
opportunity.
hold on, hold on. We're not trying to distract from Ben Crump, but you said that you found it disheartening the things that were being said. And
Yeah,
if
some of the things. I mean, we're not focusing on what is it that we can do as a community to
Right.
prevent these type of things going on.
ma'am,
That should be
ma'am,
our focus.
ma'am, ma'am,
About this.
all of these things are relevant. Us bringing up Ben Crump is relevant to this case and to this situation. All right. All of these things are connected. All of these things are relevant to this case and to this situation, because we know when Ben Crump is involved, this is not going to be the only situation, only case. All right. So this isn't to distract, but this is to add context to a case. And
Okay.
the thing is that if you're not even going to try to not even agree with, but if you're not even going to try to understand the criticisms that are being made, but you don't like them being made. We're not, it's not even, it's less criticisms, it's more questioning being
Right.
made. We do have to ask these questions, okay? Because Ben Crump is going to take this case in a direction that might not be helpful for the community.
Afro, not
Have we found out if
One minute, Black, so I don't forget, right?
Okay.
So she did mention that this live could have been better served on how to prevent this, but I gotta point it out. Those two elders made it about Ben Crump. It was one question. We all answered it and we moved on. But if you read the prompt before they came up to focus on Ben Crump, we were talking about the autopsy results, and we never know if it would have moved to prevention because Ben Crump stands came up here and disrupted the panel. So you're disheartened, but I'm disheartened that they made it about Ben Crump, and their tone of voice, their chastising us was a little too much to say black people don't do nothing. I don't know what's wrong with black people. Like, some people have to rethink their approach because the whole live wasn't supposed to be Ben Crump centered. We were actually talking about the autopsy results, and this was an update for those who probably are too busy and couldn't really tap in.
And how Ben Crump does tie to this case. We got the results back. Now, mind you, they've been had the autopsy back. We have the results back kind of late. Now, whether this was, you can argue this was strategic, this was good, this was bad. Regardless, this is the fact. Ben Crump is the one who held the independent autopsy up. That was Ben Crump and his team and their decision because they wanted to wait for the state to release their autopsy, which in and of itself is not a bad strategy, but that does show their relevance in this case. That does show their relevance and their importance in this case. All right. So for people to bring up, okay, well, what is their intention? Where is this going? Because we have to be aware of things that might be controlled opposition. Because from what I've seen, Ben Crump has not called out anybody directly. He's made reference of things that's happened in the past, and he's made kind of vague references, but nobody specifically and directly is being called out and accused of anything from Ben Crump, from what I've seen. And this is a pattern with Ben Crump. When Ben Crump gets involved, he'll reference things that's happened in the past and struggles and grievances of Black Americans in the past, but nobody in particular gets called out or gets accused of a crime or anything like that. So it doesn't really land anywhere.
Yeah, if
All
I
right.
can speak,
Hold
I
hold
just
on.
came up here, so I don't want to like
Oh,
be
okay,
an
hold on.
intricate part of your community. But if I can
Thank you, but hold
have a
on.
voice, I appreciate it.
Okay, well, I'm gonna let you speak in a little bit. All right. Let's go to, and as BX said, the whole segment of Ben Crump, the elders have made that a thing. There was one question about Ben Crump, and then we kind of answered it and moved on. They circled it back to Ben Crump and kept it on Ben Crump. All right. Let's get to XOXO.
Right quick. Can I ask? Have anybody found out about Nolan's dad, if he's Black American or not?
I haven't heard anything. I'm not sure about that. All right.
Is that a issue if he's not?
Let's get to
Like,
XOXO.
fuck
Hold
out
on.
of here, man.
No cussing, and for some of us, yes, it's an issue. They're
Okay.
usually the ones that don't see color.
Okay. Let's get to XOXO.
Thank you so much. So I kind of wanted to bring it back to the prompt with the autopsy. I find it a bit concerning because it mirrors two situations that my brain just remembered. We have the case in Cumin, Georgia, back in 2018 when the black mother was with the slumber party incident, and her autopsy reported, I'm not going to say identical, but I will say similar sort of injuries, if you will, and that ended up being, I guess, deemed as an accident, though we all kind of can put one and two together, one piece of the puzzle with another piece of the puzzle, that was not necessarily an accident. So the concern is that this case with Nolan may turn into this case with, I believe, Tamla Horsford. I'm not sure if I'm saying her name right. Similar situation around a group of people that are not of the same user, ends up in quote unquote accident, or something happens, nobody knows what happened, case ends up getting swept under the rug, they end up trying to pinpoint other substances on her, blah blah blah. We've seen this before. This is just from 2018 from my memory. There's another case going on as well though in April with Daniel Irving. I don't know if that's not a part of the FPA or however, but this case is actually getting some attention and getting some recognition because there has been charges pressed with this family. But it's interesting. The charges aren't necessarily with the passing. It's more so with tampering with evidence. So I don't know, maybe, not trying to give Ben credit here, but maybe that's the angle they're going to have to try to go along with, because if there's missing holes in what they can find, there's got to be some way to get some sort of justice done for this child. And both Nolan and Daniel Irving here, they're about the same age. I believe Nolan was 18, Daniel was 19.
Okay.
So, and then as far as what we can do as a community, we need to teach our children situational awareness. They need to understand that they have to keep their eyes open at all times. Energy, vibes, people, be aware where you're going, constant communication with your parent, with your family, a trusted adult, so that they know that, okay, we're leaving from this spot to this spot to this spot. I know when I was a child, I'm from Connecticut. So for me, my family always, hey, where are you going? You can't, if you were going bowling, you were going to the mall, you need to tell me that you left the mall and you went bowling. You can't just go from point A to point B to point C to point E to point whatever. You have to stay in communication, regardless if you're 18 or however. Especially when you're in towns like this one in Mississippi, where you're the only minority in the group.
Yeah.
Especially when the parents aren't getting their phone back.
And when you
the
say
phone.
minority, let's just keep it very specific to foundational Black Americans. So we don't want people running off with them, you know?
I'm going to say especially Black American. I'm saying minority in general, because to me, it doesn't matter if you're in a group full of white people, a group of Hispanic people. My family, we didn't care. If you weren't family, we watching you, period. We keep an eye on everything, because anything can happen. I mean, this could have been like with that girl in Texas, with that officer in Texas. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, regardless, if they're not in your kin, in your group, like-minded like you need to keep an eye on everything, because you never know what can happen. It could be a white kid today. It could be another race of kid tomorrow. That situation in Chicago with that Asian man doing what he did in front of that park. It can happen from any angle. Our kids need to be aware of everybody. We got to keep an eye on everybody, Jamaicans included, everybody. But yeah, so I think that's very, very important, especially in cases like this, because they're banking on our kids, thinking everything is sunshines and glitter and rainbow. And that's not how the world works. There's going to be people who don't like you just because you're a Black person. People who don't like you because they're jealous of you. People who don't like you for whatever their personal vendetta is. Because I can't pinpoint just one. It could be several things. But I do hope that they do try to clean this up before this turns into I think it's Horsford case in 2018, because it would be a shame for this to be an accident. And
let me address what you also added. Let me address that. Let me hop on that for a second. It's about people who might not like you, but it's deeper as well. Follow me with this, because a Black person might not like a Black person, but they don't have the impunity to get away with doing whatever they want to. All right. We have to understand, a Black person might not like a Black person for whatever reason. If something happens, if they do a crime to that other person, they will be held accountable and they will be charged and persecuted for said crime. Okay, they don't have a whole system that's going to play this benign neglect game. See no evil, hear no evil. We don't really know what happened. Everybody's acting obtuse. Everybody's following along with this very weird story. We Black people don't have that privilege. That privilege is extended when Black people are the victim of a non-Black person. All right. And that needs to be understood, because some people are like, well, black people, they're mean black people. Yeah, there might be mean black people, but the mean black people don't get away with doing stuff. The mean black people won't have prosecutors turning a blind eye and judges giving them a pat on the back. And the mean black people don't have that. Mean black people don't have the Kyle Rittenhouse treatment. You ain't never seen a judge treat a black person the way the judge treated Kyle Rittenhouse the way he did. You would have thought that
Definitely
was his
agreed.
son. You would have thought that was his son, the way he was treating him. You've never seen that. So there's a privilege there, all right, that needs to be understood, because you might meet some good people, but they know they can, at any point in time, be bad and get away with it.
Oh,
Afro, show me
definitely
what
for
allows
sure.
took you to the restaurant and get you a burger, the
Oh
Burger
yeah,
King,
yeah.
before
Who
going to
gets you
jail.
Burger King after you committed a crime? Who do that? Get your
Definitely,
Burger King. Come on now.
defin-
But now they're
definitely
starting to
true.
see we're going to take stuff into our own hands too. See, that's the thing. Like, if we can't get it in the court, we're going to get it elsewhere. That is the thing. I'm telling you, that's the crux in all of this. They're
Well, I
trying
definitely,
to
Where's
get their
going?
get back and prevent it.
well, I definitely hear you on that one as well. But then I'd also bring up the Cyrus situation in South Carolina, where, as another quote unquote minority person, ended up getting away with something
That
that,
ain't no
if
minority.
Okay,
that,
hold
Wait,
on.
wait,
Who
wait, wait,
the
wait,
quote?
wait.
I'm
Hold on,
Asians
saying,
aren't no
everybody.
I'm
Everybody
homo.
can't
saying,
talk at the same time.
I'll take a minute.
Okay, the other minority person. Who is that?
I
What
mean,
ethnicity was that
Rick
person?
Chow,
Rick Chow.
the Asian man, Rick Chow.
Okay.
As somebody like him, he was able to get away with the situation with Cyrus. So that's all I'm saying is, in just in general, teaching the children to just have some situational awareness, especially in heightened cases when there's somebody that does not look like you, whether they're, because to your point, if it is another black person or Jamaican person or somebody of a particular group, we do get prosecuted. We do get the due process. But when it comes to situations like the Rick Chow situation, that's not always the case there either. So I'm just saying in general, to help prevent stuff like this, just to have that heightened sense of awareness, because his parents failed him. And I hate to be that person, but Nolan Wells'
Yeah, you're
parents
a
did
lie.
fail him in a way.
You're a lie. You're a whole lie.
I need you to be
Okay.
quiet. I want to ask her a question, Afro. Do you
Okay.
consider Black Americans minorities? Do you use that term for us
No,
or
but
just
her
for
parents
other?
failed her.
Ma'am, you're
Ma'am.
a failure.
I'm sorry, my
You
family
fail
did
to keep
not
your
fail me
composure. No,
because
I
I'm
got
still
it.
here.
Right. So you need to calm down, love. Calm down. You don't like what she said, you could rebuttal her, but please be quiet for now. Do you call Black Americans minorities? Do you use that term for us, or do I have that mistaken?
I do not call Black Americans necessarily minority, just because I just feel like with the census and everything going on, I just don't even put us in the same group, because when I say minority, I use that interchangeably with people of color.
Okay.
So
That's what I wanted to know. I wanted to make
that's
sure
what
I had that.
yeah, like
Thank you.
I don't put, as a person who's Black American myself, my family's from South Carolina. I was raised up in Connecticut. I do not tend to use Black people, Black American people, in the same group as people of color, as minority group. I don't, me personally, I just don't believe that. It,
Okay.
it, it
Thank
might be
you.
my ignorance. I can definitely
Okay.
acknowledge that
We
if
got it.
that's what we're talking about, but yeah.
You're long-winded. Can I just
We
clear
got it.
something up for everybody? So the Black did ask, what was the father's ethnic group? Some of us would like to know that, but has it stopped us from doing whatever it is that we're going to do regarding Nolan? Because he didn't deserve to be unalive like that, right? Also, it would make sense that his parents said they don't see color, or he didn't see color, right? Because Black Americans are raised differently. We understand that the only person in a group of people where everybody else is white teeth could be harmful for us. So it makes sense. So it could help put into context why they handling things they are, or why Nolan was the only one with a whole bunch of white tea men. Because we know more than one white tea man means it's a strange fruit mob and something could go wrong. Like, let's be for real. There's a difference between Black Americans and the melanated groups. We were raised different because we were raised, here in America, right, on our land, but they treat us differently and they target us for certain reasons. So yeah, I think I'd allow that. Are they, you know what I'm saying? Black Americans.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's very relevant. That doesn't mean he doesn't deserve justice. That doesn't mean we excuse what happened to him or we miss the bigger picture, but it's relevant. Now, love, you wanted to say things. Thank you, EJ. I appreciate that. That's my brother. I hope you're feeling better, EJ. I think he's the one who sent that. Yeah. No, that's Mr. Perciero. Thank you, Mr. Perciero. Love, go ahead. Go ahead. You want to say something, then we'll get to why after that.
I'm
And
gonna
you
be
sound
honest
like a
with you. With
failure.
it.
I read your comment. She said I sound like a whole Jamaican, ma'am.
Oh,
I will
oh,
drag. This is a New York accent, ma'am. And
BX,
the only
we gonna
immigrant
let her.
so far is
BX, we're
you,
gonna
because
let her
you have
go.
no impulse control,
BX,
ma'am.
love.
Hey, I mean, I hear it like I see it and see it like I hear it. You know, it's no disrespect to you, ma'am, but you do have a twain with you where I think, I don't know.
Okay,
And he
address.
sounds
Hold
like a
on, hold on,
fool,
hold
a
on, hold on.
babbling
Stop,
fool.
stop, everybody. Address the subject, not BX. Address the subject. Don't. We're not going at personal shots or anything like that. What do you have to say about the subject, ma'am? And the conversation being had. Love, go ahead.
Yeah, I was on mute. They keep muted. But what I do want to say about the subject is we did exactly what we needed to do. We brought a light to the situation. I don't give a fuck who did it. Whether it was Ben Crump, I don't give a fuck. It was the motherfucker that's the booty scratcher. We saw a young man that we need to find out what was the cause of his unalivement. I don't care how we did it, what we did it, when we did it. You know, I have some questions about it. However, I can't go out and question that Mississippi DA. So that's why we got Crump to do it. And when I say Crump, man, Crump just the face. When I say Crump, he got investigators. He got people got that can pull the body and examine the body. We did what the fuck we need to do when we gotta do when it comes to situations like this. Kendrick Lamar.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? When it comes to Aubrey, we have always done this and we will continue to always do this. Because we know when it comes to us and our children, they will sweep it under the rug. When it came to Nolan, the same day that they found him, they said that, oh, it looks like an accidental drowning. So they put that into everybody's mind. And then that mother, that strong mother, big up to our mothers out here. Because I give it to everybody. I brought this in the world, and I'll be damned if you take it out, right? So give it up to the mother out there. Give it up to the father out there.
Okay,
That
okay.
said,
Hold
no,
on, hold
we
on,
got to see what
hold on, ma'am.
our son went
Hold
through.
on. Now I
Whether
want you to
it's
address something
something
else. Hold on, hold
nefarious
on,
happened or
hold
not,
on. I want you
it
to
is.
address something else. Hold on, hold on. The wine is strong tonight, y'all. The wine is strong tonight. Somebody been sipping. That ain't one drink
They must
either.
be drinking Crump
That's you
Farms.
on your fourth. Come
They
on
drinking
now,
Crump
Lord have
Farms.
mercy. I can tell when somebody had a couple
I mean,
drinks before
at
they
the end
showed
of the
up.
day, whether it's here
I'm
or
just
not, listen,
hold on.
you heard what
Now
I said.
hold on,
You
stop.
heard what I
Because
said, man.
no, because you've been coming at everybody on the panel. Now that you've addressed the panel, why have you been coming at everybody on this panel? Why have you been doing that?
I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't know if you really can recollect, but nobody on this
Recollect?
panel.
I can't
Yes, sir.
recollect.
You asked me a
Okay.
question. Allow me to. Nobody on this panel mean nothing to me. The only thing that they mean something to me is cause we, as people, our black people, need to stick together. And when I hear them talk, I see the disenfranchisement of us, and it's so concerning. It hurts my heart. It hurts my heart because the disenfranchisement that we are so accustomed to, because they allowed us to be that way. Go on, miss, you know what? Like, go on. That
Okay,
sounds
well,
stupid,
if
man.
you don't like
Like, at the
this,
end of the day,
hold on. If you don't like Well, I guess you called it disenfranchisement, right? If you don't like that, why would you participate in that? Why would you disrespect people who are having a conversation?
I
Because
said
you've been
nothing
coming
to
off your mic,
nobody.
you've
I
been
didn't
talking
call
about
any
people in the chat room.
names.
Why have you been doing that? Nobody did that to you. Why were you doing that to people?
Yeah. I didn't call any names. I did
No,
not
no,
say
no,
nothing
no. You
specifically to one
you were being
individual.
no. You were being disrespectful and you
How?
were being
How so?
antagonistic because you were
How
talking
so?
about BX. All
Because I
right.
was talking
She
about
You
called
were
BX
me.
talking
Bronx?
about hold on, no. You were talking about
Bronx?
BX
What,
because
BX
she said
Bronx?
something. I'm doing this for a reason. She said something that offended you. What did she say that offended you?
I'm just gonna be put it clear and there. You know, she is the individual that will and have that microphone on your platform uh uh to put somebody in a box that they are not black or they're not this person. That's what she do. I don't do that. Cause I know in America we all motherfucking mix match.
No,
I'm a
the fuck
Okay,
we ain't, 'cause I
okay,
cuss
okay,
good
okay.
too.
Now I
And you
want to
don't
get
even
what?
cuss
Hold
good.
on, BX. I'm almost there. BX said that it was relevant if his father was an immigrant. Do you think it's relevant that his father is an immigrant or not? Ma'am, do you think that is relevant that his father is an immigrant or not? You can unmute yourself.
Yeah. So I hate those misnomers, those lies to say that his father was an immigrant. Like
Nobody,
that's a lie. So I hate motherfuckers like that
no. I'm
that
asking
will
a
put that
question.
on to
Answer the
us
question
black
that was at,
American
ma'am,
people.
answer the question that was
Sure.
asked.
Right.
Okay. Nobody claimed in this live that his father was an immigrant.
Okay.
She just
What
said
up?
it's relevant if he is or isn't. Because when the question was asked, you immediately got up and said it doesn't matter. So why do you feel like it doesn't matter?
When I say it don't matter, listen. At the end of the day, I'm gonna be honest with you, and I'm gonna be completely honest with you.
Okay.
His father is not. So for somebody to say that,
And
they're stoking the
no,
flame.
no, that's not what you
Sir,
said.
like what the fuck?
That's not what you said.
What's
I'm
going
sober
on?
enough to remember what you said. That's not what you said.
Me
You
too.
said it
What's
didn't
up?
matter. That's very different. So
Listen,
I'm asking who in your
I
family are immigrants?
no, I was telling that
Can you
lady
answer that
it don't
question? Before we
matter.
continue, answer that question. Who in your family are immigrants?
I don't know one.
You don't know one family member
Not
that's an immigrant.
motherfucker one. Maybe somebody that my brother done had a motherfucker relation with, but nah,
Okay.
that bitch white too. But anyway, I don't
Okay.
know
All
one.
right. Thank you.
But
Thank
what
you.
can I repeat myself?
No,
Like, give me a
can you
moment.
repeat yourself? No, thank you. Boy, hold on. Actually, just answer one question for me before I let BX go ahead. I was trying to see if she was going, I guess, give herself away that she's an immigrant or has some type of immigrant background or anything like that. But she ain't giving that away. I don't even think she understand. Can I ask you? Unmute yourself, love. Unmute yourself for one question, one final question.
Nah, dude, my family been
Oh,
here farther than your family been
how
here.
long you know how long my family been here?
Because you look like some. Like,
What
why
do I
would
look like?
at the end of the day, I'm be honest with you.
What do I look like?
Most
What do I
people,
look like? What do I
yo,
look
I'm
like? What do I look
if,
like?
allow me to speak, right?
I'm
Most
asking a question. What do I
people,
look like? You said I look like something.
yeah, you look like a black American, but I ain't got nothing to do with what the fuck I'm saying right here.
Okay. Oh,
Most
all right.
people, most individuals do
Okay.
not worry
Hold on,
about
man. Hold
who's.
on.
All
Do
right,
you
go ahead with
prefer?
yourself.
Let me just ask you a question personally. Are you
What?
more of a
Yeah.
white wine type of person, or are you a red wine type of person?
Man, shut the fuck up. It's Friday for me. Yo, shit, what the hell? I had a
Look. Hold on.
long day,
Hold on.
yo.
She said it's
I
Friday for
work
her.
at a
Hold on. I told you she been drinking. And she just admitted to it. I knew it. The second she started speaking, I'm like, yeah, I can tell you've been drinking. I can tell. It's Friday for
dude.
you. Ma'am, it's Wednesday.
Yeah. Yo,
I would
listen.
almost give it to you if it was Thursday. It's Wednesday. It's Wednesday night. She said it's Friday for me.
Ah.
Every day is Friday for her. Come on
So
now.
Afro, I had wanted to tell her to watch the replay on For the Culture so she could see where she messed up at and how much of a fool she is when she's drunk. For the simple fact that she called XO a failure when I was trying to talk to XO just to make sure that she wasn't calling Black Americans minorities. In order to, she didn't like that I kept putting her in her place, and so to diminish my statements and stuff, or to make the claim that it's okay if the father was an immigrant, which is okay if he's an immigrant. We still wanted to know, but I never said don't take up for Nolan if the father was an immigrant. I showed how how it's relevant to the way we're raised, right? And the reason why I have that belief is because I've been reviewing our New York State reparations hearings, and because a young lady said on a platform that Black Americans and Dominicans face the same racism. So I have a point to prove. I was wondering, when did Latinos become oppressed like Black Americans? And there was a presenter who mentioned Latinos in the 1980s. But meanwhile, we have centuries before then of disrespect, institutionalized racism. And so we face different subjugations and we have different outlooks on white tea people, to the point that when they say, well, he didn't really see color, what? Everybody sees color. But it makes sense why an immigrant would say that. So I was just clearing up for the chat who was alarmed by the Black receipts question. It is relevant in these instances because Black Americans are targeted, but only one group will say they ain't see color, either your raccoon class or the immigrant class.
What got me is that she didn't interrupt until somebody brought up his dad being an immigrant, and she immediately pushed back against that. And nobody even accused it. People were just asking. So that means that question triggers you, which is odd for that to trigger a Black American. So notice being asked your lineage doesn't trigger Black Americans. It really don't bother us. Well, where are your people from? Okay, well, where is his people from? That don't really bother us. Normally, the people who get very offended by that question are immigrants or have some type of immigrant background, because otherwise it doesn't make sense to be offended or even bothered by that question.
And one more thing, I wanted to kind of address what Texas said when she was saying it's important because Mississippi, like sort of like some people didn't know their history. I've been watching Mississippi. I just said to people, FBA brothers and sisters, that we got to keep an eye on Mississippi because don't forget Rasheen Carter. Right? He's the one who called his mom and said that a bunch of white men in a truck. So just because you didn't like what you hear does not mean that we don't understand Mississippi history. And I said, and we got to start looking at those cases besides Nolan's and Rasheen Carter's, because there's somebody else who was strange fruited out in Mississippi. We are well aware of the history. She just didn't like what we were saying about Crump or something else, you know?
Yeah.
So this was a very good live because I know we're about to start wrapping up. But what I realized is we can't please everybody, and the elders, okay, come up here with this chastising tone instead of just listening to us. And Big Crump and Al Sharpton are not grassroots. When you say mainstream, that means you're following an agenda and you're following who they chose to say is grassroots. They're not the real grassroots, y'all. It's time to give that up. It's time to give that up. They're not tapped in with the community, with the real grassroots. And I think they come up here with this chastising tone like they know everything or everybody. When somebody says their age and it's not a hip hop type of conversation, expect some bullshit, y'all. Just expect it. And that's what she did. Well, I'm 57 and I'm new. We don't care, ma'am. We don't care that you're 57. Well, God bless you for being 57, but it was BS all after it, and they made it about Ben Crump. But other than that, it was a really great live. I really enjoyed myself, and I'm going to go on mute because, you know, I'm long-winded too.
All right, let's get to YY. Appreciate y'all patience.
Hello, Afro. It's so good to see you here on TikTok. I usually see you out on the Twitter streets or the, other streets. But
good to see you. Hopefully you've been good.
Oh, I stay in the background and mind my business and get to the money. So that's what we've been doing. So I wanted to say, I'm glad that you brought this whole conversation up. I usually don't say nothing, but for this one, I feel like what the Queen said about the changing of hands earlier was really important. You know, I don't want to get into the whole old niggas conversation, but it's important that we have diverse opinions about these public facing figures and their real intentions. I just think that's really a thing we need to, as the young people coming up, to, you know, put a big spotlight on. And, you know, Tariq told me years ago that we all need to play our role. And if we've been doing that beforehand, you know, 50, 60 years ago, we wouldn't be in the situation we're in today. You know what I'm saying? Educationally, economically, all this denial of, you know, the global white supremacist system that we're under. But I digress. You know, I don't want to get too far off into that. Now, as far as this situation with the young man goes, we are not going to let this awful, tragic loss of life and the circumstances surrounding the situation be swept under the rug. That's just not going to happen. The powers that be are absolutely showing their hand. You know, if the Justice Department was honest and forthwith from the precipice of this investigation, there would be no questions about, you know, what's going on. We have, you know, internal body parts missing. We're not getting the full story. And, you know, there's confusion written all over this, which is, you know, the main weapon of against Black people, and specifically Black Americans, and subterfuge against us. Is creating confusion within the narrative, creating confusion within the evidence presented. Super easy for them to do that because that's what, you know, they have control of it. They get it first and they throw all the confusion into it and give it back to us. And they're like, well, here you go. You Negroes, do what you can. And, you know, plausible deniability with this situation is only going to do you a disservice. For any of those people out there who may feel skeptical about the details, or you are, you know, wondering, oh, are the police, you know, they're only doing their job. That plausible deniability angle is not going to do nothing for you. It's not going to do nothing for us either. And we don't even have confirmation. And, you know, I was thinking about this when this drunk lady got up here, is that we don't even have confirmation of these people's ethnic background. And we're standing behind them because Black Americans are the foundation of righteousness in this country. And when we're called to defend the injustices wrought against us, we always answer that call. You know what I'm saying? That call will be answered. And we are answering this call right now by sitting in these spaces and having these conversations and holding these people accountable. And it's not just this one incident. It's all these cumulative incidents of people who are popping up missing, people who are popping up hanging with their hands behind unalive with their hands behind their back from a tree. People who are, you know, going out one day and not coming back, essentially. You know, it just further proves, you know, how the white supremacists have got their back against the wall at this point. They're bankrupting the country in a war to, you know, again, the subterfuge to get the eyes off of what the real story is about the government, and basically the complete failure, disillusion of these so-called political parties and all the stuff they got coming out. I could, you know, go into it, but, you know, we got dudes showing up with, you know, all kind of stuff, and it's being publicized because they can't get the cameras off of it at this point. You know, their birth rate is declining, the nation is collapsing. You don't have an education system, the infrastructure of this country, they can't even pay for it. They're so busy paying for this war. And it's situations like these, you know, they have to handle this on the back end. They cannot have Black Americans at their throat even more than we already are. We are always on their ass, and we'll stay there. And they know that. You know, they have to go through and, you know, play around with the evidence, and they can't be honest and forthwith because they're not. They've never been. That's the history of this country. A lie and a lie and a lie and a lie. Jason had a great program about this last weekend. I think that, you know, it would do everybody a great service to go check it out about this. People need to be aware. If you are not aware of who you're hanging out with, of who the people or where your children are going, you need to be aware of that. If it so happens to be, keep them in the house so that you can keep them safe, because it's war out here and they're getting very blatant with it. These white supremacists feel empowered because they got the presidency, they got the House, they got the Senate. You know what I'm saying? These people, this is instead of focusing on their real lives and instead of focusing on the things that affect them, they're going to focus on you because you look the way you do. So it don't matter, you know what I'm saying, in my opinion, as far as it goes with this young gentleman who was unalived, whether he was or wasn't. We gonna stand on business because it's for us to do. We have to make sure that we hold these people accountable. So I know I'm a little long-winded, but I really appreciate you for letting me speak. Afro, you know, I'll be talking a lot. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I wanted to keep it
and I
brief.
appreciate that. And we have to just be aware, because you might be cool with some people who outside of your community. Okay, I'm not here to police who you can or can't be friends with, but I want you to understand you can be cool with them for years, 10 years. On the 11th year, if they do decide to flip bad on you, I want you to understand the system is going to side with them. That's just something that you need to be consistently aware of. Now, you with another black person, the system is not going to back them up. You with them outside, you with the YT folk, one day, if they just so happen to get jealous of you for some reason, okay? Or if something happened and they know about it, they will get the benefit of the doubt and you won't. If something happens to them on your behalf, you're not getting the benefit of the doubt. If something happens to you on their watch, they're getting the benefit of the doubt. And that's something you need to always remember. Going with your friends, your work, your coworkers, all that. All right? Always remember that. Let's get to Omega.
Omega, before you go, peace and blessings to you. But thank you to the chat. They got you to 157.1K, and there's 332 in the chat. Thank y'all for joining. Please complete your daily heart meet. Apparently also has a gift goal and a super fan option that has really cool perks. I land.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, BX. All right, Omega.
Peace, B1, man.
Black first to you, brother. Go ahead.
B1 to the panel. This unfortunate end that this young man has come to is basically another case study and validation in what we've been saying all along, that you cannot be too, I don't want to say too friendly, but you can't be too naive when you're around the people from the dominant society, because they will always, always, always get on code for their purposes. They're supposed to be his friends, but not even one of them has came out and said, hey, XYZ happened. You know what I'm saying? And you're doing it for your unalive friend. Friendship means absolutely none to these folks. And this is another point of not point of emphasis, but another example of that. Every time you turn around, even with the Carmelo Anthony case, people saw what went down, but they all got on code against us. No matter where you turn in this country, the dominant society and those adjacent to it always get on code against us. We got to start looking at it that way. We got to start, reacting to the world that we're in. Like Neely Fuller says, we are prisoners of WAR, and we need to act as such. Raising your son to not see color makes him a soft target. Black men cannot afford to be soft targets. That's all I got to say, man. B1.
Thank you, brother. Thank you. All right. Black first to you. Let's get to Lottie.
What's up, good
Things
family?
up.
How you doing today?
We good, brother. How you doing?
Oh, I'm good, man. Just chasing a dollar in a dream. But here it is, man. Like, I ain't gonna lie, Tia was on some good Bombay and some vino, man. She was on one earlier. It was crazy. Friday for me, it's my friend. God, lady. She probably firing up a Newport right now. But anyway, like, and man, if I would have gone out to see, I would have probably made it worse because I don't like people coming to BX for no reason. But the thing is, man, I'm gonna have to put my conspiracy theory kufi on just for 1 second. If I'm correct, some of those boys who were with Noah are in college now, right? If I'm correct, I don't think they're all high school kids. So
Possibly, yeah.
the eerie way that he was unalived, it gives me a bit of conspiracy theory of Were they in some kind of organization? Did they take this boy away for some perks? Because these are all prominent children, even Noah. Everybody in this situation were pretty well off people, and they do creepy and freaky stuff like that on that higher level income. So I don't know what it is, man. I mean, that's just another question for me to throw out there. Is this something deeper than just what happened? You know, because we know it's funny business, but that autopsy is creepy, man. It sounds like some druid, weird organization type of thing to get somebody. Okay, let's take this one out, and that you get some perks from that later, considering the prominence of all these people. And yes, we know the settlement king. They select Van Crump, the settlement king. Yeah, to get the people papered up. That's cool. But at the end of the day, I love the fact that the new media is really keeping our eyes on it, and we not going for the card trick. There's still some roots under this, and we trying to get to the bottom of it. And I love the persistency of it. And it's been real tough on the youth this past year. You know, the obvious cases that we talked about, Mello and the little boy, that the police officer. It's just a lot. It's just a lot of things that's happening, and I have a son around that age. It hits me home. My son's a tall athlete, and the way I grew up kind of in the conscious woke community. He's one of these new kids, so he don't see color like that. He's one of them. So I be trying to blacken him up more. It's a challenge, man. And he hangs with a mixed race of friends. So I'm trying to show him, like, dude, look at this. This guy could be you. So you got to be careful, and you got to understand that you're the one that's tall and handsome with all the athletics, and these guys might be just trying to drain your aura from you, man. You know, and now with this case, I have more of an example to teach my son about that, man. So yeah, man, y'all take care of y'all kids, man. Keep y'all eyes on them and find different ways to communicate them and educate them. I appreciate the awesome work that you keep doing, the consistency of your work, brother, and I'm gonna land there.
All right, thank you. Thank you. I'm trying to see if we got enough time because we still got a couple more people. And we got a lot more people. We can do, you know what? We got enough time to do like a minute for each person. That's what we can do. I already see the 4 people up, so y'all the only people coming up. Y'all got 1 minute, and we are gonna put you on the timer. It's just nothing personal, but we just got to do it like that. Okay. So before we wrap things up,
I just want to explain why I asked the question in the first place, because, like
only
D
one.
Hicks said,
That's okay.
we see trends, and yes, we do raise our children different. Even if you start getting more wealth and upgrading, live in a mixed community, but outside of that, when you look at the mainstream media, these so-called black lawyers and people that supposed to be representing black people, they move a certain type of way when it's a full black American. When it's a bi-ethnic or a BIPOC person, they tend to just jump head in first, no questions. We don't have to galvanize and kind of like poke them to get involved, like the Camelo situation, the Rodney hitting, and those situations. It kind of took the grassroots to shed a light on it, and then they just picked it up because it was getting hot, and it's part of the black community's conversation. So they had no choice but to pick it up. But how uh, the the football player and Ben Crump just kind of like started getting involved. It Yeah, it shows it didn't. He's by ignorant. Yeah, it kind of shows like, hey, a bit of a bias. Like, if these people keep on starting to get attacked, then we're gonna lose galvanization from them, and those are the only black adjacent people we have to keep under our thumb right now.
Mm. Yeah, can't rule anything out. All right, appreciate that. Let's get to Yeta. I don't know how to pronounce your name. You can go ahead and unmute yourself. Going once, going twice. All right. Well, y'all make sure y'all go to For the Culture on YouTube so y'all don't miss out on the playback of this. This was a really good live, to be honest. It really was. Y'all go to the playback on YouTube. If you guys are listening from YouTube, thank you all so very much. Y'all hit that subscribe button, like button, share button, all that stuff. I greatly appreciate every single last one of y'all. Y'all follow so that y'all don't miss out on anytime we do go live. If there is any further update, we'll go live and we'll have a conversation. But this is what we know for now. And as of right now, I'm still holding to my stance that there was more than foul play. There was more than foul play. I do not believe at all. Okay, you're not gonna gaslight me. You're not gonna make me seem like I'm super radical or anything like that. This is not normal, and this is a pattern that we see specifically with black folk. All right. So we're not gonna sit up there and gaslight nobody and make it seem like, well, y'all just make everything about race, please. Because if the races were reversed, y'all would be screaming from the mountaintops. Y'all would be crying bloody murder. All right. Y'all would be having an angry lynch mob out there right now if the races were reversed. So we're not gonna play that. All right. We're just not gonna do that. Okay. BX, anything you want to say to close?
You know, I gotta ask you, Afro. When's the next time you coming live on TikTok?
I want to come live. I want to come on live tomorrow, but there's something I gotta do tomorrow in the morning. So I'm gonna see what time I get off. What time?
Okay.
Not get off. What time I get done?
I have that class tomorrow that you was thinking about yesterday. So I should be home about 8:30. If you want to do a late, like a 9 o'clock show or something like that, that'll be fine. Yeah. Yeah, because going early, and I got to deal with the others. I got to be in a good frame of mind. But I want to say this was a great live, minus the drunk hiccup. Okay. And knowing the fathers and the mothers, because there was question about her too, of their actions immediately after, when it did start going public and viral and stuff like that, will make sense to us, because those of a certain generation we just know the history, right? I find this generation, like the ones that, and I don't mean to weaponize my age, I hope it doesn't come off like that, but like my children's age, 30 and down, some of them are very all-inclusive, and so they may not take our history into account. So it makes sense that we would want to know the parents' ethnic background, just because it'll put their answers into context and how we move forward. And at the end of the day, some white people view us all as, one thing or whatever, but I just pray for justice for Nolan. I pray that Carmelo gets out of the condition that he's in. Shout out to Rodney Hinton, who I don't know what parent could watch a video and how they're supposed to react, but he did what he did, and we stand behind him. At least I know I do. And we haven't had any updates about his case either, right? Rodney Hinton, what's going on with him? Do we know? No.
Not that I've seen. I haven't seen any information yet. Any advancement in that case.
And so I'm moving back to the victims, such as Nolan and the victims of strange fruiting. There's a rash that I'm noticing that black men are found strange fruited, and they're saying that it's S-side. To me, that doesn't make sense. And so it makes sense why they're saying, no foul play. We can't rule out. No, we can't rule in foul play. But yet there's signs of him being harmed by someone else. So,
yeah. To be honest, I mean, there's not even, when it comes to the autopsy, we don't know. There is evidence of foul play. The mark on the back of his head is evidence of something.
Right.
Okay. It's not proof of it. Yep. There's not proof. We have to understand the difference between the word proof and the word evidence. Okay. Because all evidence does not mean technically that there is proof that there was foul play. But is there evidence of foul play? Yes, there is. Okay, the story's not lining up is evidence of foul play. The mark on the back of his head is evidence of foul play. Is it proof? We need more evidence to have a conclusive opinion on that. However, there is enough evidence. All right.
One
Just
more
to,
thing to say, and
yeah.
then we could go. Remember when Carmelo had to defend himself, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I said we have to have a talk about when we get to a certain level, we decide we're going to move to these areas that are not reflective of us. We have so, and now here goes Nolan, and that was his friend group, right? We do still have primarily all black towns and cities and stuff, right, Afro? I'm not bugging, correct?
Mm-hmm.
And so we have to address that. I think that would be something good to address within our community. Maybe it's a backdoor comment or a chat, so that way we won't have the immigrants peeking in. But yeah, we have to think about if it's a lack of resources, so you send your children to an outside school where they're not around their own people, that has to be addressed as well. So these are things that we have to talk about within the community. And I'll end on that note. I just want to say that. Be one family.
All right. Y'all have a good night. Y'all meet me on my other YouTube channel, Afro Elite. I'm going to go live soon. All right. Appreciate y'all.